Let me start by introducing myself. I'm Pedro Ramirez, the sales director at Flytec for the US and Canada markets. For those who don't know Flytec very well, we are a current master distributor of Ubiquiti UniFi here in the United States. We do have our own in-house technical support for UniFi, and our sales team here in the United States is trained every single day on UniFi products. So anyone on our team can actually help you choose the right switch, the right access point, the right camera for your specific project. Now I want to introduce Andrew Pieper. He's a Ubiquiti UniFi solutions engineer, and he's going to present today's webinar. The topic is deploying MDUs, multi-dwelling units, network and physical security projects. So please proceed, Andrew.
All right, great. Thanks for the introduction, Pedro. So this is the first time we ever did a webinar about this topic. I'm actually was glad it came up. I think this is an interesting topic because I think this is a growing area for a lot of MSPs and integrators are seeing a lot of opportunity here. Today we're going to talk about a little bit what it's like, about some of the considerations when deploying to MDUs, what you want to, things to think about, different kinds of solutions that work for this from the UniFi product line. And then some ways that maybe that can you can grow your business in this direction. I am happy to answer questions. So if you guys have any questions that come up, feel free to ask them in the Q&A section. I'm more than happy to respond to those. What I'll do is I'll go through a portion of the slides today. Maybe the first half we'll go over some slides that I prepared, and then what we'll do is we'll switch over to the design tool. We can go through kind of how laying out some of this stuff on that tool. And then maybe if there are questions that come up, I can show some deployment examples and or some give you an idea of how to configure some of the settings we talk about and everything, like PPSK, for instance, if you're using that in an apartment building, that type of thing. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a little in the way of introduction. I know everyone's here pretty familiar, so I'll keep this pretty short. But just some of the history of UniFi. So we started, Ubiquiti's been around for about 20 years now, a little over 20 years. And we originally started in outdoor wireless space, and we have since, over the last 15 years or so, really shifted our business towards networks, end-to-end IT solutions with UniFi, and that includes access points, gateways, switches, and so on. We have now, since about 2011, we came out with our first access point. And now we have this full solution that covers everything from amps to EV chargers to NAS devices to there's so much that's included under this umbrella now. UniFi is really a fast-growing business, and even in this short time since we've been doing access points, we're now the biggest. We ship more access points than any other vendor worldwide. So we've gone really quickly, and we keep growing because I think we're quite a bit different than our competitors in this space, and we have a unique approach. I'll just mention this briefly, that kind of this is our focus with UniFi. We try to make really high quality hardware that works well, that it's not overly expensive, and it's accessible to people across the world, but also we try to make it look good and last. So our technology, our hardware has developed a good reputation. People are used to working with it, and we've really we have good reliability, and we also have some that really high class product design. Our software approach is one that we try to think about our integrators and MSPs. I imagine many of you represent these today. If you're installing UniFi as a part of your business, we try to make this process of managing your UniFi system really easy and accessible. So software is all very easy to use, very simple, straightforward, and we try to help provide tools that empower anybody that's using UniFi, whether it's a home user or someone that's managing 1,000 deployments worldwide. We try to build in lots of different features that make this process easier and simple and scalable. That brings us to the third point, the kind of thing that I think a lot of you know us for, and why we've really seen a lot of growth, especially now as we're capturing a larger portion of the enterprise space. It comes down to the fact that we don't have any licenses. With our UniFi products, we approach things where we're trying to cut out this licensing. A lot of vendors out there, you'll spend, over the course of operating a device from another vendor, you might spend 2 or 3 times what you pay for it up front. and it's already pretty expensive up front. But you pay more than 2 or 3 times that in licensing fees over the course of operation. With UniFi, the cost of ownership is very low. You pay for the initial hardware, and then it comes with this free cloud management that empowers you to grow your business to whatever scale you need. If you're an IT company if you're an IT shop that manages 8 different locations, no problem. If you're an integrator MSP that's deployed UniFi to 250 schools, you can provide maintenance and support for all those installs all through that site manager, that tool there that allows you to manage at whatever scale you need. So we keep expanding on this, but that's kind of the core focus of our business account, and one of the reasons I think we've been growing so much. So we have several products that we're really building this end-to-end IT solution. We have UniFi Network, which is where we started and where we've grown to be this full stack network solution that can do any scale network now. And I can say that's one of the changes. If some of you haven't worked with us recently, within the last 2 years or so, since our release of the enterprise line, we're now able to handle scale of deployment, whatever scale deployment is required. So if you have a customer job that wants to install it at an enterprise office with 350 employees, you can do it with UniFi. If it's at a stadium and you have 25,000 attendees, you can do it. UniFi's got the capabilities to be able to handle whatever scale or complexity of a deployment. We also, UniFi Protect is kind of was like the second product that came out and has since grown. We have a very large offering, a different portfolio of different products on UniFi Protect for camera security. We also have any scale, whatever deployment up to 1,000 devices on a site that you can manage through UniFi, which is pretty exciting. We've improved dramatically the ability to be able to manage a large scale deployment that way. We also have UniFi Access, which is door access control system. This is one that we'll talk about with MDUs. Is a unique one with the Intercom product, for instance, and has a lot of value to offer. We also just released our new line of UniFi Talk phones, and which is a VoIP solution that's really makes it really easy to set up your own system and manage your VoIP solution. And then we have UniFi Connect, which is like this for digital displays, digital signage, EV chargers, IoT devices, and so on. Now we have other products that aren't mentioned here, but these are kind of the main products that you'll deal with most often. And today we'll focus primarily on the first 3 of those because I think those are most applicable for MDUs. So the whole focus of UniFi is bringing together all these aspects of IT management into one interface, a single pane of glass, where if you're managing your door access control system as well as your VoIP solution, you can manage them all in the same interface and just within a few clicks without having to have multiple accounts and different platforms. UniFi is this one platform that I think our customers have developed a lot of trust towards and understand that offers a lot of value and simplicity in managing your system. So that's the whole approach here. We keep adding more things here. I imagine you'll see some more things on this in another year or two. We'll probably have a few more things to add. It's hard to keep up with sometimes, but the whole goal here is whatever IT solution you need, UniFi wants to be that vendor that can provide that, and with that same approach that you come to like. We try to eliminate pain points for IT managers, and so you can see here, whether it be licensing or actionability, ease of use, scalability, we try to make UniFi make your job a lot easier to manage these deployments. So in terms of intro, that's enough. I think let's go get started on the topic today we're going to talk about. So MDUs. UniFi, I think, is a great opportunity for obviously a great opportunity for MDUs because of some of those things I mentioned before, with us being unique, like with no licensing, for instance. This offers a new opportunity for you to kind of get involved with new constructions or even retrofits of an apartment building. I think the products that are well suited for this kind of deployment would be our network, our UniFi Network, as well as our UniFi physical security lines with UniFi Access and UniFi Protect. With these, we'll talk today about how these you can build the business around offering these for these types of deployments. This license-free model means that you can work with someone that's doing a new construction for new property, for a new MDU property, and you can by installing UniFi, you've added value to that building at no recurring cost. Once you install the products for UniFi, so an example of how UniFi can offer value. Let's say they're doing a new construction, they're running Ethernet already to all these apartments. By installing a UniFi in-wall access point there, they have an integrated, instead of having that wall jack, they could have an integrated an access point as well as an integrated switch that in of itself adds value at a very affordable cost. for each apartment there. So these types of features add value to a property and make it more that they have appeal to real estate investors and to people that construct these types of businesses. They also have value to offer to the people operating these businesses. Instead of those licensing fees that you're paid to the vendor, our hope is that some of you integrators and MSPs can instead offer to maintain these deployments for them over time. And instead of paying that money to us, they'll pay that money towards you in expanding and improving their service that they have to maintain their network. Now, like I think it's really valuable if some of you may already have these type of relationships, but developing relationships with property developers can be really lucrative and scalable, like a good way to grow your business. If you develop relationships with these, they learn to work with you and they can incorporate you with a part of the building process. It's really much easier to install a whole solution whenever you're running, when no one's living in the apartments, you can run all the cabling and everything very easily. So having these types of partnerships will make your job easier and improve the profitability of your business. All right, let's talk about some of the different types of MDUs. So when we talk about multi-dwelling units, we can be referring to a lot of different things. I think the most common of those is apartment complexes and buildings. That, of course, these, UniFi what's great about UniFi is that the price point, the cost of deployment for UniFi is at the smallest level is very affordable. So if you're an integrator that tends to do smaller installs, UniFi, you can build a lucrative business around going to apartment complexes and offering to install a solution for the apartments themselves. Let's say it's a apartment complex where the apartments are owned by each resident owns their own apartment or is renting it from someone. Even in that environment, UniFi has a value proposition that makes that doable. You imagine that you deploy like a UniFi Dream Router. We just released our UDR7. You install a UDR7. You install another access point that can be automatically connected with AutoLink to where even if you don't have cabling ran, you can install an access point and have a UDR7, have great coverage of the whole apartment. And then on top of that, you can add on a couple cameras. If they want a couple cameras, they're pointed at the door. If they want to add on a G2 Reader Pro on the outside, so that when someone wants to ring their doorbell, said they can initiate a video call and they can answer from the inside with an Intercom viewer, those types of things. There's a lot of different opportunities for apartment complexes and buildings. I think it's, makes the most sense to get involved with the larger complex if you're, building a business around this. But of course, I think it's still lucrative to do it at a smaller scale. Condos, townhomes are another option. Again, makes some more sense where this is more scalable. So if it's a new construction of a large number of townhomes, this can be something you can incorporate into that. Also, retirement homes are another area that maybe people don't think about a lot with MDUs, but is nowadays it's a requirement that if you're going to have a retirement home that's current and offers those amenities, you need to have like internet connectivity and have those features. Also, student housing is one that I hear a lot from installers for. When I go to trade shows, I'm always surprised, and interested to see how many people I meet that are doing deployments of UniFi in student housing. It's hard to deliver the amount of bandwidth that these students consume sometimes, but having a good, well-deployed network can make a big difference there. So that's another good use case. So there's other examples too that we could think of, but this gives you something to think about, different ways that you can deliver this our products to these types of businesses and build a successful business around that. Let's start talking about our network offerings. So the first thing we're focused about today is our cloud gateways. Now, I don't have the new price we just released here. We have the UDR7, the UCG the UCG fiber, as well as the Express 7. Those are the new Wi-Fi 7 offerings that are also fitting this compact form factor. So those are going to be very valuable, especially if you're doing them on a per apartment basis. You want to have their own standalone network on each apartment. That's something that you can do. I think in most cases, when you're doing an apartment complex, though, you're going to use you're going to have a central, like maybe an MDF, where you have a larger, like say it's an apartment complex with 5 different buildings and with multiple apartments for each building. You may have a central EFG that then have fiber runs going from there to each of those standalone buildings that then connect to the switch that then connects to all the devices that are connected there. But we have a full scale of gateways for whatever application you need. If it's a small use case scenario, it's like a single apartment, yeah, maybe the UCG Max is a good opportunity for that. But whatever deployment, we have a good option for you. We also have a portfolio of access points keeps evolving. We just now released this last week. We released our US7 Pro XG, U7 Pro XGS. I really like the design of these APs. If you haven't seen them yet, check it out on our website. This is our first 10 gig access point on our U7 line. So we just released on our enterprise line the E7, which is also has a 10 gig interface on it. With Wi-Fi 7 for the first time, we could actually really utilize multi-gig throughput. And so for those people who want that 10 gig U7 Pro XG, U7 Pro XGS are there. I think for most apartments, that's probably not necessary still. And if it's super high density, maybe it is. But I don't think in most cases you're going to need more. It's more about coverage in an apartment complex typically than it will be about super high density. And the most important thing, of course, when you're deploying to an apartment complex, especially a large one, is to have adequate coverage while also limiting the amount of interference on that network. But we have, I really like in-wall access points. I mentioned those briefly previously. What's cool about the in-wall access points is they take something that has very limited use, which is that Ethernet jack on your wall, and converts it into into both a switch as well as an access point. And that's the kind of thing that I think appeals to like a property, like a builder that is doing new construction of an apartment complex, to be able to fit in that form factor, add value that way at such an affordable cost is pretty appealing, I think, to these types of customers. Now we also have outdoor access points which may be used in this type of environment. With outdoor areas and things like that. I really like our U7 outdoor access point is a great value, and the U7 Pro Outdoor, which is released imminently, which has outdoor Wi-Fi 7 as well, 6 gigahertz. Those are going to be two really good offers that you want to be familiar with. In terms of mega capacity, I don't think it's going to apply to this kind of a setting. Most apartment complexes don't have a high density stadium inside of that, but hey, if they do, hey, there you go. You got your cover with the E7 audience. But let's go talk about the switch portfolio. We just announced a few more switch models, some of which I think are relevant to MDUs. So we just released. So on the highest end, our enterprise line, we've released for very large apartment complexes. Let's say this is in a large city and it's a 30-floor apartment. An enterprise campus or enterprise aggregation switch or ECS aggregation might be a good aggregation switch with all 25 gig ports to connect to all your downstream your downstream aggregation your downstream access switches or aggregation switches at different cabinets and things. You can really facilitate whatever scale you need. So a Pro XG is also it's a brand new switch we just announced that goes really well with the XG access point. So this is mostly 10 gig on these ports, a few of 2.5 as well. But this is all about providing, when we look at our switches, we offer all these different models. You might have asked, why do we have so many different models? It's because every customer, we want to have a model that meets the needs of each customer as best as possible. And what that means is if you're like a small business, you don't need to pay for an enterprise campus switch for 20 client devices, right? So in that case, we have a form factor or a switch that offers maybe some less capabilities, but it's going to be more affordable. So this kind of each of these families offers at the top we have the most capable, and as we go down, we have more affordable on these switches. But they're going to be very competitive for products in their space. But I really like our switch portfolio. The Pro HD is a really nice one for use with physical security. So these have all PoE++ on these 24-port switches. So when we're talking about UniFi Access, if you're going to use those UniFi Access door hubs, one of those on each of your apartments in an apartment complex, have PoE++ that goes to each one of those from one of these HD switches. And then for those hubs also act as a switch and power 2 cameras and power the reader device and connect the lock, power the lock, and all that. So the PoE++ is pretty useful when you're dealing with physical security, especially with our access line, because there's a lot of benefits from being able to have that. Then our Pro Max, I think, is kind of like what I recommend for being like your base starting point for most networks at this point. Pro Max is going to be where you're going to want to start for like an apartment complex. If they need more, you can go up. If they want more affordable, you can go down in terms of cost. But I think that's a good balance of cost and value would be our Pro Max line. Now our switches, we also have some other utility switches that might be useful. So like our Flex switch, for instance, in some apartment complexes, let's say they don't have a wire connection between the main building and the apartment complex and another resident building. You can use a UniFi building bridge to extend that gap to build a connection, a high quality connection between those two buildings over wireless, and then you could have that bridged into a utility switch, the flex switch, which is an outdoor switch. You could have an outdoor closure, and then have that go into the building. Maybe connect that to to a camera, and then have the switch go into the building, and then connect into another switch that then connects to the APs or whatever. This is a nice product just because it's outdoor, and we have all sorts of flex switch models now that offer a lot of value, and they still have some pretty capable switches. So let's move on now. So that's our network products. Now we're talking about MDUs. Also, Protect is going to be another thing. UniFi Protect is that camera security option. We're not going to get into much into this, but just as a general overview, if you're not familiar, we sell both cloud gateways like the UDM Pro that can act as an MVR and store camera recordings. For most installs of any size, when we're talking about more than a handful of cameras, you're going to want an MVR. So we have 3 different units of MVRs: the UMVR, which you see there on the bottom with the 4 hard drive bays. We have the UMVR Pro with 7 hard drive bays, and then we have the EMVR with 16 hard drive bays. And so depending on how many cameras, if you have 100 cameras, you're going to want to go with the EMVR. If you have 25, you go with maybe the UMVR Pro. But basically, you can power everything with PoE. And this is the other thing with UniFi that's great. When you guys are doing a new construction of a MDU, all you got to do is run the Ethernet cable, and that can facilitate pretty much all of our products. And we make pretty much everything we're talking about today is powered by PoE. So it's just have to have that PoE switch, have the Ethernet cables ran, and then you'll have a functional, full stack UniFi deployment there. But the cameras here connect back to the PoE switch to the MVR and store footage there. We also now sell higher end cameras that include edge recording. So they have they have an integrated storage micro SD card in there that can store video footage there. So even if the MVR happened to someone broke in, stole stuff, and then stole the MVR or something, then you still have recording on the camera. So it's kind of a nice thing. But I won't get into the portfolio, but just think about like what different types of models are good for an apartment. I recommend looking at those when you're talking about large scale deployment. Look at the Ultra cameras, the Turret Ultra and the Dome Ultra. Those are 129 MSRP each. And so you can really scale up really well with those. And then I like to have it maybe entry points or high security places, like maybe the opening, the gate opening where maybe there's a secure gate. You need to have a quality camera there, is a higher end camera there, and maybe at the entry points you'll have like maybe an AI dome there or an AI turret. But we saw all different options, and I recommend you just check out our website because we have lots of good comparison tables to help you make that decision. Now, the door access can be one I think that just needs a little more explanation. A lot of people aren't familiar sometimes with how this product works. Everyone here, I'm guessing, has done some network deployments, but I'm guessing there's people on this call that haven't done any UniFi access. So I'll just try to give you a basic rundown just so you're familiar and you feel comfortable enough deploying this to apartments, to MDUs, because this is really where there is some interesting use cases specifically for this market. UniFi Access, just so you understand how the system works together, it may seem complicated. I think people look at these access hubs and they see all the different terminals and everything, and they get overwhelmed. Like, I don't know do I have to use all those? I'll simplify that for you today, hopefully. So basically, the access hub is the brains of the whole operation. It's what connects all of the devices together. So if you have a reader where you're going to scan your NFC card, you have a lock that's going to be open, you have a camera connected to this that's going to provide multiple angles of views of every door access event. All this can be done by the access hub, so it provides PoE to those devices. It connects, and then after access credential is presented, it then opens up the doors. And we'll talk about that specifically for MDUs in just a moment. But we have the lock. We work with any compatible lock, so it doesn't have to be our lock. There's going to be cases where you're going to retrofit and install UniFi Access, and just knowing that we can work with most low voltage products out there. You can power these locks from our device, or you can use the dry you can use the dry terminals as well. In cases where it's not, you don't need to power it, then you pretty much can work with lots of different components there in the access deployment. You do are required to use our readers, which those are the access hub and the reader are the required parts that have to be ours. And then we also do recommend to have UniFi Protect cameras, at least for external external entry points. it's nice to have an extra camera there installed so that you can see and get multiple recordings of each time someone enters the building. Now, we also sell a redundant PoE switch, so you can have these plugged into the access hub, access hub plugged into this. That's great. Also, if you don't want to use this, you want to use a UPS, you can also use a PoE switch, plug that into UPS with battery backup there. So in the event the power is interrupted, it's important to have that consideration because we have a power. You can set what you want the behavior to be if the power is out, but it's way better if you can keep the access deployment functioning as normal, even in the event of a power outage, if you just have that battery backup. And then the other requirement is that cloud gateway. So those are the three pieces you need to have as a console device, whether cloud gateway, cloud key, MVR, all these products run access. You need access hub, you need a reader. We offer all these different entry access methods. So lots of different things here. Just know that we have a lot of different support. When it comes to MDUs, I think you're going to mainly like some options I just want to call out real quick is so QR code. So if you have it set up to where people can need to be given access to access the parking lot after hours, so you have someone come and do maintenance on an apartment building and they need to be able to access the apartment complex, park there and do some work, you could send them, have a QR code generated, sent to them that they can use and scan to the gate that then opens up the gate directly. We also, I think the intercom is going to be the main use case for these types of deployments, having our intercom unit plus intercom viewers in the apartments. You can have it set up to where if someone wants to access the lobby of the apartment, like in large apartment complexes, they can then call up to the apartment 201. It will ring on the intercom viewer there, sound a chime. You can also have it set up to where it sends an alert to their phone if they want to. And then that person then gets the opportunity to see camera footage of who's there trying to get access to the facility. And if they want to answer it, talk to the person, they can, or they can go ahead and unlock it. But yeah, that's a nice feature. I think the intercom is really well suited for MDUs because it's kind of like the ideal use case. We have a lot of different other products. I won't spend much time on those, but just wanted to call those out and just let you know that we have lots of different options. We also can add Apple TouchPass to this list, right? You see it on the top left. We just released that on the G3 Access product. So if you see the G3 Access products, just know that's something we had to incrementally release to allow for Apple TouchPass. That's the only difference between the G2 products and the G3 products is just the Apple TouchPass. There's no other changes that have been rolled out with that. All right, so just some UniFi Access. When you're talking about MDUs, just big thing here. If you've ever worked with it before, it's really accessible and easy to use. So this is a good place for you to get started. Again, it's all PoE based, and it's really easy setup. I'm not a physical security installer. I come from an IT background, but I've had to install UniFi Access, and I can tell you it's really straightforward and very simple, and I found it to be very manageable. So if you're worried about getting started with physical security, like there's some important things you need to know, but just know that UniFi Access offers a really good opportunity there. Now, also UniFi Access offers some enhanced security since we're all PoE based. We also encrypt that connection between the devices, and that just adds added security over some of the other options out there. And we're very scalable as well. Let's move on. Let's just so you know, these again, the summary of the requirements of what you need for your deployment: Access Hub, compatible lock, UniFi console, UniFi reader, and PoE connectivity. You don't have to have even a UniFi switch. If they have a different third-party switch already, that can work, but these are the requirements you need to just make sure to address.
Andrew, I'd like to interrupt. Yeah. Can we put some questions there for you?
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. This is about the UniFi Access. Anthony is asking, if we have a 300 unit MDU, is there a way to bulk create all of the customer accounts or locations rather than one at a time? We would want customers to have access to self-manage as well as access for us to maintain and manage.
So, yeah, so anytime we're talking about a large deployment, there are ways to automate this. We've now recently in the last year, we've released APIs. So if you're doing a lot of these large deployments, it's probably worth it for you to develop your own API process. Like you can do API scripting. So everything you do in the UniFi software, if it's on network, if it's on access, it's all API based. So anytime you go click a button, it's going to go execute a command that then's going to change the configuration on the device. It's doing an API call whenever it goes and pulls down performance analytics, all that. So basically, if you leverage the APIs, you can build your own custom process for doing all this. We're just now starting to support this after years of having been here. We didn't use to support it. I always was hoping we would. And finally, over the last year or two, we've finally started supporting it and we're building out documentation now to make that easier. But yeah, I would say rely on the API to do this, and you can find ways to automate this instead of having to click through all the screens. That would probably be a better route to go. Now, that's going to require a little bit of comfort with that type of thing. If you're not comfortable with that, there's certainly people out there that you could hire. But also, I've had to do API stuff, even though I hadn't had experience with it. I used to do performance analytics on a stadium where we had deployed, and I had to go scrape those instead of going to each looking in the interface. I wanted to get a dashboard that pulled out all the performance statistics and put them in a dashboard so I could see how the health of all the devices throughout the game in a really nice specific dashboard for that. And I was able to do that without being someone that has this type of background. So just check out the API documentation we have, see if you can do it. If not, there's people out there that will help you.
Okay, another quick question. Is there a configuration that can block a card reader if a certain door is open or a certain device is released?
I don't think there is one through the interface, but again, maybe that's something you could accomplish with the API, but I would have to check, and certainly it would have to be something custom.
Okay. Let me see if there's something else quickly.
I see one from Rachel. Could you please confirm if the switches have redundant power supplies? So our enterprise line has dual redundant power supplies. They're hot swappable. We also, for our professional line, we do offer the RPS device. It's the UniFi. It's our redundant power supply, and basically what it is, you take smart power. We have still these cables that connect in the back to all of our pro switches. You can plug it in there to this device, and in the event that the primary power supply fails, it will fail over to the RPS device, the redundant power supply device. So that's what it's there for. And then if you have that plugged into like a UPS, of course, too, if the primary power is out, then they can still keep it online in the event of an outage. Just check the specs on that. Make sure you review that. But yeah, that's something we do offer.
Okay, another quick one, the last one. Can you connect cameras to the Access hub and still use them in Protect like it's connected to a regular switch?
Yeah, actually, it's really cool. With Protect and Access are really well integrated. And if you guys if you do a large Protect deployment, what's cool about Access is it's the only product that you can also deploy on the MBRs. So that's because they're so closely integrated that if you have UniFi Access to Protect already deployed, you can go add on we offer the UA Ultra, for instance, which is a reader and a hub in one. It's the most simple way to get started with this. As an example of when you want to use this, let's say you're deploying UniFi Protect to an apartment complex and UniFi network. You could also add on these UA Ultra devices to be used to secure all the rooms where network equipment's housed. And it's just basically it's a reader device and hub integrated into one. So that's all you need is this one device and then a lock and a request to exit button, and that's all it has on the back of it. So it's a really economical way to get started. So I recommend if you haven't worked with Access yet, try out using the UA Ultra on like your next deployment when you're doing the server room. If they're interested in securing that, you can have them set up to where you install one of these devices, connect to the lock and to a request to exit button, and that server room is now secured. And what's cool is that with UniFi Access, you can just add that on to any MVR install. So if you're just installing Protect, you can just add on UniFi Access to the MVR and manage those access devices. So they're really tightly integrated. And you'll find that, there's no limiting aspect to using those together. In fact, both of them enhance each other. Okay. So like you manage all the cameras through Protect still, but they give you some added utility within UniFi Access application.
Okay. Please go ahead with the presentation.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for those questions. I appreciate that. Let's move on now to talk about the Intercom use case scenario. So I think this is really, if you're going to get started working with, if you want to start doing access with MDUs, this is probably the use case that's going to be most applicable. So the Intercom device is cool because this is kind of the ideal use case scenario. So let's say you have a ground floor of an apartment that you want to install. It's the entry point that then all the residents come into to be able to go to the elevator and then access their apartment. You can have it set up to where there's an intercom unit installed at the door at each entry point, external entry point, and then you would have that connected to a hub that then connects to the lock. It connects to a chime if you want to. It connects to the emergency alarm panel to where there's an alarm. It automatically sets it to open. It also there's several other connections on the hub, but you would connect this intercom to that hub, and then connect to the lock. And then anytime someone goes up to the intercom device, you could have throughout the deployment, you could have installed in each apartment an intercom viewer, that device you see here on the bottom left. And then someone could call up to that apartment, it would ring them, and they could have a chance to admit them. What's cool about this is how economical it is. You only are required to have one hub for each intercom. All intercom viewers can just be powered off of PoE. And so they don't require like anything else besides that. They just have to be locally connected to the same network as that access hub. And so really it's very affordable. You could deploy a full intercom solution like this for a few $1,000s for a large apartment complex. So you can see the value that offers versus what it costs. And that's a good opportunity for you to make some additional money, and you can make some more money on the installation as well. But I think you'll find that for the price point, many apartment complex owners would want something like this for what it offers. Any questions about the intercom functionality in terms of the apartments? But it's pretty straightforward. If there are any questions, just let me know. We can come to those. Another use case, let's say you have an apartment complex with a gate. This gate access starter kit, basically you can buy the starter kit all bundled together. You can now buy the hub by itself now too, and set up your own custom setup. But this I recommend starting with the starter kit. It includes everything you need to be able to connect this to a gate system, a gate door. So this is really great for we just also now released our first LPR camera that's really enhanced for license plate reading. Basically, the idea is you can have this installed at your entry point to the apartment complex, so that let's say after hours you have it set to lock, so that visitors can't visit unless they're admitted by someone or have rights to access. You can have it set to where everyone has an NFC badge, or you can even set up license plates, register the license plate in here, have the LPR camera automatically detect the license plate as the cars approach, and then open the gate that way. If you have like a security, like after hour security office, you could have this pair to that office that then they have to call to the office to get admitted. If they're, like I said, an example, like if they're someone doing maintenance, they could call to the office and then get admitted to the parking lot. But this is a really nice value that says the gate hub is used. I've seen it in residential, commercial, and MDUs as well. So this is a really good product for this use case. But it's cool now with UniFi, with the license plate recognition, you really can secure parking lots in addition to buildings with UniFi. All right, let's talk about an example. So let's say Ridgecrest Apartments is just an example. Let's say it's 3 floors. It's multiple apartment buildings. Each of them has 3 floors and 4 apartment buildings each, like this one's shown. Let's say what you could do as a part of this install is you could say, I'm going to put 2 in-wall access points per apartment to allow for, like, say, have one installed in the master bedroom, where they might have like a TV that provides, if they want to wire that, they'd have that connected there. And they could also have one installed in the place in the living room where they install the entertainment console and everything. These 2 in-wall APs provide that feature, those value I was talking about earlier, and also provide that wireless. You can also have UniFi Protect cameras at each entry area, like in the hallways, as well as the entry points, external entry points. And then UniFi Access intercom at the entry point, and then intercom viewers in each apartment. I laid this out in the design tool just to give you an example what this would look like on the floor. You can see here I've got in a central location that the cabinet, the rack cabinet, and then I've got in the hallway area a U7 Pro Max installed to provide coverage there, so people are leaving their apartments. What's cool about UniFi, you can use the PPSKs to have one SSID for the whole apartment complex. So even if these people go down to the fitness center or common areas, you can have APs down there and they can automatically roam over to these access points on their own VLAN the whole way. So basically you can have PPSKs. I'll explain those in just a second. But in this case, the U7 Pro Max in the hallway there could be used to then, if they're roaming or going up or downstairs, they could still remain connectivity to the network. But this is, pretty, it's nice to be able to lay this out in the design tool. I'll show you how that works in a minute if we have time. But yeah, PPSKs I think is a feature I just wanted to call out. This is a lot of use to MDUs, because this allows you to have one SSID instead of having to have an SSID for every apartment. You could have one SSID for the whole apartment complex, and then have VLANs for each apartment. So let's say, a nice way of doing this, whenever you have to configure this, is set up a VLAN for each apartment. Like if it's 101, you can be VLAN 101, 102, so on. And you can have each of these passwords have a distinct password for each apartment. So if someone's coming to their house to visit, They want to know what to connect the Wi-Fi. They would give them their password, and then they would be connected to their network. And then they'd only have access to the devices within that apartment. So this is kind of nice for like things like sharing. That can be difficult to manage in like a student housing use case scenario. PPSKs allow you to be able to basically streamline a lot of that to where they're responsible with entering their own password, and then they'll have local connectivity between those devices. And then when they go to the fitness center, they're still connected. They can still, if they need to connect to like their smart fridge for whatever reason, they can still do that from the fitness center. But I think this feature is really nice. It's easy to set up, and you can use as many PPSKs as you need. There's really no limit to this. We do have a VLAN limit per site, but typically that's now been increased to 512, I believe. And so for 512 apartment complex, maybe at that point you're gonna have to do something differently, but that works for up to that scale. So pretty nice use case scenario, I think. Let me give you an example. This is from someone that one of our shows showed this off, but basically they've been doing a deployment at a very large retirement home here. This is in Ottawa, I think. But basically it's a large retirement home to Vista on Sparks, and they were able to wire this whole they use UniFi equipment for this deployment, including 2 EFGs, 179 access points, 23 pro switches, and they supported 189 residents Wi-Fi for each of those apartments, and 4 different VLANs, so on. They use VoIP system or wireless nurse call system, a 65-door access control, 105 cameras. So that's all done through the system of it. Like they're able to, they were having problems with their previous network, switched to UniFi, and then had really good outcomes after that. They're very satisfied with it. So you just know it's being done and it works well. And I've seen it used in any environment you can imagine, whether it be stadiums, very large apartment complexes, hotels, all of the most demanding environments. I've seen our products be used at, and really I think it's in a good spot where you can manage this product at any scale. Then I'll just leave this slide. This is the last slide I'm going to show you guys today, but it's just some essential resources you guys can you want to be aware of, or like our design center, for instance, tech specs, so on. But this is a helpful reference that I can arrange to have sent out or made available if you guys want. But just want to leave this here because sometimes it's hard to find this resources, and this is kind of be a good thing to keep track of, so you guys are always informed. All right, let's check and see if there's any questions before I move on.
Here are a couple of quick questions, Andrew. Somebody is asking, please develop something like a Nuki to use an existing old door. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Nuki.
Yuki.
Is that like a wireless lock or what?
Somebody responded there. You can use the electric lock from UniFi and leave the existing door handle. Use access control and also a key.
Yeah, we also are working at, I know we're looking at with like residential applications. A lot of times people want to have a deadbolt, wireless deadbolt. We're looking at ways that we can integrate with third-party deadbolts. So I know that's something we're working on and looking into. We may have some more options in the future.
Okay, and if somebody's asking, are you going to talk about any disadvantages of PPSKs?
Yeah, so disadvantage of PPSK, I'll just highlight, is 6 gigahertz. PPSK doesn't work over 6 gigahertz because of the security required. It uses WPA2, and PPS and Wi-Fi 7 requires the use of sorry, I lost track of my train of thought, but it requires WPA3 security for that. So it's incompatible with that, but for a lot of apartment complexes, especially with those in-wall access points, like we just released our new U7 in-walls, those actually don't have, they're made for smaller scale, like single room deployments and stuff like that. So for an apartment, 2 of those would cover. Yeah, I think if you want 6 gigahertz, you're not going to want to use the PPSKs. In that case, you also have options of using radius. You guys can integrate with any number of, you can set up your own radius solution with free radius or with Microsoft MPS, and then manage to have people sign into like if they have an account for your guys' apartment complex has like an account system that people go to log in to check their bills, to do other stuff. They could log in with the same accounts to that system, and then be able to they could be able to get access to Wi-Fi from using their account. There's different ways you could do that, but like you could integrate with any number of MPS options out there. So feel free to use one of those if you prefer not to use PPSK, because they cannot accomplish a similar thing.
About that apartment complex in Canada, I mean, somebody's asking what was the cost on this deployment. Any idea on that?
I don't know, but I guarantee you it costs you about a third of what it costs for most vendors out there, at least with no licensing.
Yep.
I get all the time. I get asked, part of my role is I get asked to compare comparable quotes for another vendor. If someone's going to compete with a vendor for someone that's another install that's on a different product, and often I have to. It's so low compared to the other that I always recommend that they add more stuff onto it, like do more access points, add on some cameras too. While you're at it, you're still coming in under half the price of the competitor quote. So but I think with UniFi, a lot of times that can be a challenge for you as an integrator MSP. But the big thing is if you sell this as a package, you'll find that there's plenty of room for you to make money on this, and people are really happy with the end result, and it's still a good value for them.
Excellent. And the last one here, will the G3 door access be compatible with Android phones as well in the future?
I'm not sure on that. I know we are looking into that, but I'm not sure what the plan is there. Well, I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch gears here. Let's go to check out the design center. And I'll show you what this looks like in the design center, since I think this is a helpful thing to be able to show you the features. If you're not familiar with, this is a really nice tool. You can customize when you're drawing. You have the floor plans. You can upload the floor plans, and you can customize and draw the walls with whatever material it's actually made of. And this will aid your Wi-Fi simulation for what the coverage is going to look like. So brick, glass, drywall, concrete. You see I have all these options. It's a something as simple as going in here. So I left off this wall here. I can go in here, select here, click drag. And that's how easy it is to draw the walls. So you can see it's really pretty simple. And what's cool is this allows you it changes the simulated RF performance. So we use the actual antenna radiation patterns on our devices to be able to, and then you can draw the scale. So let's say we know this room is 21 feet by 12 feet. It looks like, so let's just assume this is 21 feet. And that will make the scale like very accurate there. So and what's cool is you can see by dragging or moving the APs how it affects the signal in real time. You can see if you have enough density. Like if I got rid of the second in-wall unit, what would it look like? Let's take a look and see. We can go ahead and go here to place to let's go to delete this. 1 second. For some reason it's not. There we go. It's not letting me do that for right now. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what I click. I click something wrong. I'm gonna switch back to a different screen, come back in. But you can change the orientation of all these of all the APs. You can see this 6 gigahertz, since these U7N walls don't have 6 gigahertz. But you can change the orientation of these APs to see, like, it's wall mounted. You can change the direction it faces. It's going to snap to the wall automatically and outwards, as if that's what it'll be with the in walls. But I can go place other devices. So for instance, we have our outdoor access points with integrated directional antennas as well as omni antennas. Here's what the coverage looks like if I install those on the balcony here. But I can go ahead and change this from being I want to refresh the site because I think I'm having some issues here. So let me click on it or refresh this one more time. Here. Yeah, I got refresh. But basically you can specify whether you want to be ceiling mounted or wall mounted. You can specify if you want, and that will just change the whole the RF pattern. You can actually see here, well, it'll snap. I can have a U7 Pro Max, for instance. This is what it looks like if it's wall mounted in terms of its coverage, where if I switch to Omni, that's what it looks like there. So there you go. It's auto snapping on there, and then I can go ahead and change that from here. Again, I don't know what's going on here. I've got some issues. I think I got to clear my cache here, but really, it's a really nice tool. It helps you. You can even use this to generate a bill of materials, do a whole upload your company logo, build a sales proposal. This could be a really nice polished thing, especially if you're going to a builder, being able to get access to this and then create your own detailed proposal and everything. It's quite impressive, I think, especially for a free tool. You can actually even simulate everything down to cable run. You can draw cable and everything. Let's go ahead and do. Let's see. You can actually you can check to see, make sure you have enough power to deploy to all these APs. Let's switch to a different install. I'll show you some other examples here. Let's go to, I laid out all of Museum Modern Art on here. You can see this, just the more detailed it'll give me alerts about that I don't have enough, that the cable's too long to support PoE. I can get simulate how much cable I need for all these for these devices. You can auto draw the connections between the APs and the switches and everything else. It's really pretty cool tool, and I recommend you familiarize yourself with this. But yeah, I think for when you're deploying this to apartments, you can even place I'll show you this. You can even place cameras on here. So let's go in here to cameras. Let's add in, let's say we want to do the AI Pro. I can go ahead and place it on, snap it onto, let's say I want to look over the stairwell here. I can install it there, and with the walls, I can see what the angle would be, what I would actually see on that camera. This is a good way for you to be able to plan how you want to place your cameras, and then simulate what the cover is going to look like. But we have all our cameras, all our devices on here. You can also put in UniFi Access devices too, and then put them on the topology and everything. So you go in here to, let's say I would do a door hub here for the entry point. I do a intercom unit here, and then I could have connected as well the intercom viewers in each of the apartments. And I could connect those all to my LAN, and then also verify them within the limits of PoE and so on. But yeah, just a nice tool to use. Make sure to leverage this. It's very helpful. And you can also manage multiple floors too. See here, and upload multiple floors, switch between those as well. All right. Any questions for me about the design tool?
There is one here, Andrew. It says Ted is asking, well, the design needs more general items that we can place on the map and rack page. For example, in the rack, we need more general products like a server, NAS, patch panel, UPS, a monitor, and so on.
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, if you're talking about here, like if I go to accessories, rack cabinet, if I go in here, let's see. I think it might be because I'm sharing. It's not showing me all the buttons on it, but I was just doing this in my last webinar, so I might have to stop sharing to get this working. But anyways, I can go ahead and select this. It does let me add some of that, but you're right, we need to add some more options there. So I will forward that suggestion to our team.
Okay. That's all I have for now, Andrew.
All right. Well, cool. I think we're about out of time. So if there's no more questions, I will just show you a few more links that are helpful here. One thing to keep in mind when you're making choices about products, we also have added this new feature to our tech specs page where you can go ahead and create a comparison between our different, if you're considering different APs. Let's say you want to know the difference between the U7 Pro, the U7 Pro XGS, and U7 Pro Max. You can create your own comparison table here, custom between these devices, see what they're capable of, see what the differences are, what they don't support. Like you can see here, real-time spectral analysis. The U7 Pro doesn't have a dedicated spectral radio. So I would have to, if I want to do an RF scan, it would have to interrupt and disconnect all clients connected to that AP. What's cool about the Pro Max, you can see from this, for instance, is about the Pro Max and the XGS both support the real-time scanning radio. But yeah, this is a really nice feature. You guys want to leverage this because it does help to make decisions when you're choosing what to deploy to a particular customer. You can even lay these out to the customer and give them a choice of what they want to deploy. All right. All right. Well, if there's no more questions here,
here's another one, maybe the last one. Any ideas as to when we can expect the new UniFi alarm products?
So we're supposed to be in Q2. So I think what they're referring to is SuperLink here. Let me show you this. We have a new blog. We have a blog again. I used to write for this years ago. Thankfully, it's not me anymore. It has to do this, but you can see here we've got if you guys want, this is anytime we come on a new product, we're putting up on here the blog, and then it has some information. The SuperLink, we released this. It's this device that connects to sensors. Some of you guys may be familiar with our Protect, our UP Sense. They're like an all-in-one sensor that does a lot of different stuff, door sensors, things like that. But we're coming out with a whole new sensor platform. This SuperLink is the kind of the stopgap that's going to connect both to our legacy sensors, but to our new sensors we're coming out with in Q2. It'll connect to all these. You can see here we have a smoke alarm coming out, a smoke sensor, a siren. So you can have it set to where if there's smoke detected, you turn on the siren. If there's glass breakage on this device, you can have it set to turn on the siren. But you have all these different sensors and alarms coming out, and that'll be starting shipping in Q2 of this year. So should be just here in a few weeks.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Very interesting presentation, Andrew.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate your time, and thanks for everyone for showing up and for asking those good questions.